Hi, thank you for joining me. I am Miss Savala. Welcome. Our lesson today focuses on narrative writing. Narrative writing falls under the Common Core State Standard W 7.3. This standard means to write narratives to develop real or imagined experiences or events using effective technique, relevant descriptive details, and well-structured event sequences. What is narrative writing? Narrative writing, as I just mentioned, is real or imagined experiences or events. Narrative writing has a clear beginning, middle, and end. All narrative writing follows a basic plot structure. The basic plot structure is the component that we are going to focus on for this lesson. As you can see here, this is a basic plot structure map. Now, this is a graphic organizer that you should get very familiar with. Memorize it. This is what is going to help you to write your narratives. As you can see, the basic plot structure map is in the shape of a mountain. This is all the components that your basic narrative needs to have. First is your exposition. After is the rising action, followed by the climax, then the falling action, and finally your resolution. Now we're going to go over each component of a plot structure map in more detail. As I am doing this, please remember to be taking notes on your sheet. The exposition. The exposition is the beginning of the story. This is how things are before the action really starts. So the author introduces the major characters here. The setting is also introduced. When you are reading it as a reader, you kind of feel like this little smiley face guy right here in the top right hand corner. You feel good about it. You're like, okay, I am familiar with the characters. I see what the setting is like. Life is good right now. This also sets up the rising action and the exposition. Rising action. This is the series of events. These series of events, they lead to the climax of the story. These events are conflicts or crises that a main character faces. So as a reader, if you look at the top right-hand corner, you're kind of like, wait, what? What's happening? What's going on? So this is the rising action. It's action that starts building up from the exposition, leading to the climax. Climax. This is the most intense or exciting part of the story. So now the rising action is being developed, there's problems, there's conflicts. Climax is the turning point. This is where the problem could go either way. It can go great for the character, or it can go really, really bad. As a reader, you look like our friend here on the bottom right hand of the screen. You are so into the book. After the climax, the main exciting or intense part of the story is the falling action. This is action that follows that starts to wrap up the story. It starts to solve any problems, and it lets you, as a reader, think, oh, that makes sense. Like this guy here in the top right corner. At the very end is our resolution, which is, obviously, the end of the story. It ties any loose ends together, it solves anything that needs to be solved, and as our little baby friend here at the right hand of the screen, the problem is solved. Some things to remember about plot structure. Plot structure should always be organized in a logical sequence of events, regardless if your narrative is real or imagined. So, if a teacher asks you to write a personal narrative about your favorite birthday party as a child, your birthday party should still be in a logical sequence of events. If you decide to write a story about a unicorn landing on the moon, it should still be in a logical sequence of events. All TV shows, all movies, and all works of fiction have a basic plot line. Let's see how this plays out in the movie that many of us are familiar with, Aladdin. We're going to watch this short video which explains the basic plot structure.
This video will teach you the elements of a plot structure using a story we're all familiar with, Disney's Aladdin. The first part or beginning is called the exposition. The first thing the exposition does is to introduce the important characters. In Aladdin, this would be our main character Aladdin, Jasmine, Iago and Jafar, Abu, and the Sultan. The exposition also gives an initial description of the setting. This is not only where the story takes place, but also when it takes place and the customs associated with that place. In Aladdin, this would be the city of Agrabah. We don't know the specific time, but we do know it's pre-technology and the culture is Middle Eastern. The last thing the exposition does is it sets up the story. In Aladdin, this would be when Jafar gets Aladdin to go to the Cave of Wonders and get the lamp. The next element of the plot is called the rising action. This is the biggest chunk of the story, and it consists of all the events that build up to the climax. In Aladdin, this includes things like Aladdin meeting the genie, becoming Prince Ali Ababwa, falling in love with Jasmine, and having the lamp stolen by Iago. The next part is called the climax. This is the most intense and exciting part of the story. It's also the turning point where a solution is given. In Aladdin, this would be when Aladdin fights Jafar, who turns into a giant snake, and Aladdin defeating him by tricking him into becoming a genie. The final elements of the plot are called the falling action and resolution. These are often grouped together because they have the same purpose, which is to tie up all the loose ends of the story and end it. In Aladdin, this would be the genie getting his freedom, and Jasmine choosing to marry Aladdin. So those are the elements of the plot structure. Don't forget them.
Here I have the basic plot map again, filled out with all the components from the movie Aladdin. In our exposition, we have the characters Aladdin, Jasmine, Jafar, and Iago introduced. The setting of Agrabah was also introduced in the exposition. In the rising action, Aladdin meets the genie, he becomes Prince Ali, Aladdin falls in love with Jasmine, and then the lamp is stolen by Iago. The climax, the most exciting or intense part, and the turning point, is when Aladdin fights Jafar, who turns into a snake. In the falling action, the genie is freed, as Aladdin promised after he defeated Jafar, and the resolution, Jasmine and Aladdin are allowed to get married. There you have it. Those are the basic components of a plot structure map for narrative writing. Thank you for watching.